Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Do what, 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 do Am I coming through? Can anybody hear me? Can you hear me? I don't know if my microphone's working. I never know what, YouTube doesn't seem to. Can you hear me? Patrick, Nicholas, Levelhead, can you guys hear me? Hello? Hello, can you hear me? Do I sound really close right now? People in the future who watch these videos archived are just like, why? 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 You gotta love the ventures. You gotta love surf rock in general. Oh boy, look, I'm out of focus. In case you were wondering, yeah, the is drums, not just vocal performance. Clean that up later. Hi guys, it's me, your old buddy, Hankering Fernell. That's Ingrid Burnall. That's me back once again. Got my creaky chair right here on RuneHammer, hanging out. Drunken and Dragons, as it was once known. It's all about playing D&D like a big old badass, and it's a how-to thing. It's what I've been up to kind of a thing. It's a report kind of a thing. It's a keeping up with the Gilhelm sort of a thing. Hi everybody. Happy Friday. Oh my God, how about this summertime? Summertime weather, that sun's out. Oh man, is it lovely. Lovely, lovely, lovely. So oh boy. Hang on just a second, everybody. Hi, Justin. Oh my gosh, I have definitely thought about doing a montage of like stupid things, but every time I sit down and try to figure it out, I don't know where they got the idea for how YouTube like works and stuff, but I cannot. It just baffles me completely. So I've never done the whole montage thing, and I know that a lot of people do these giant hard drives that have like all their videos over the years all stored, so they can at any moment call up an old video and do all this kind of stuff. I've never done any of that stuff. I've lost at least 3/4, if not 8/10. 8/10. Come on, that's 4/5, guys and gals. I've lost so much of the video, they're just gone. So how to do a montage, I have no idea. Okay, there we go. Greetings, everybody. Happy Friday. We are back once again live here on Friday night on RuneHammer. You guys you're probably getting used to it at this point. Like, I'm getting pretty used to it. I'm doing this with some level of regularity. And yeah, you know, normally I'm drinking like all kinds of crazy high grade beer. Not tonight. This is terrible. This is terrible beer. Kind of just makes you gassy. That's really its main effect. But it does taste like beer, and it does happen to be in the fridge a lot. A lot of people in Philly drink High Life. I think it's pretty awful, but it is beer, and that part I like. Hi, everybody. So tonight we're going to do the things that we always do, but we're going to go a little brief on one of the sections, and we'll get you know, almost straight from my game rep over to the Q&A, which is our good stuff. Yo, Margaret, how you doing? Kevin, what up? Michael, Justin, howdy. And what in tarnation? I'll tell you what in tarnation. This here's RuneHammer. Yeah, feeling nice and crispy clean tonight. Ready to go. It's been a busy week. I don't know about y'all, but I got a case of 0 to 60s on the whole, you know, life sort of coming back to very active, right? I wouldn't call it normal because, you know, a lot of people say we're coming back to normal, but there's no going back to anything. Our lives only move forward. So whatever this is, this active renewal that we're seeing this summer is downright crazy. It feels a lot like 0 to 60. And suddenly, you know, like you realize how introverted maybe you are. And you're like, dang, I got all this fun stuff to do with all these fun people. I kind of want to just hide in my house for a week. But I'm sure a lot of you are feeling that same thing. Still good stuff. Good night, Norway. Sleep tight. May you dream of plentiful sheep and gentle waves. Boom, 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 boom. This last week was session 11 for my old school essentials group. We're playing in Dave Arneson's world of Blackmore. And wow, session 11. That's where we're at. So session 11 was bound to have another guest player. That didn't quite work out. So once again, I have 3 players. Now, if you guys have been trying to pick your way through the verbal spaghetti that is my session reports in recent weeks and months, you probably have a sense of where the game is right now. And I've basically just been hitting you all with a super fast recap of what happens in each session. And these recaps aren't necessarily to say like this is right, this is wrong, this is good, this is bad. It's just full transparency, y'all, because I'm not going to film my group because cameras do weird things to people. But I want you to know what I've been up to because that's what I do. So, yo, Zambia, what's up, Yukon Cornelius? Silver and gold. So anyway, session 11, my players assemble. The player who hosts our game, his significant other is out of town doing some education for several weeks. And so he's like in pure crazy mode. He's like in treehouse mode. So when we show up to play D&D, he's just like, there's no limit on how much D&D we can play tonight. I'm in for the long haul. And I'm like, okay, well, I mean, we normally play like 6 freaking hours. So I'm not sure what the long haul is. Delicious. So we show up, it's session 11. I got 3 players, and we are about to go into Tower Jackport. Now, to really get a sense for this sort of assault that they are doing as a group, it's important to have a little bit of context here, how much they have avoided this kind of confrontation, how much they have always seen danger and like direct combat basically as a last resort, as a we kind of messed up. It's a very heisty type group. And so when you're doing heists, you know, the last thing you want is for George Clooney to be battling werewolves in the lobby of Caesar's Palace, right? That's not how you do a heist. You do a heist by outthinking the enemy and outthinking the environment and like killing it, right? So they kind of reached their end of their rope with the whole heist mindset in session 10, and there's a huge amount of combat. Really fun though too. I mean, combat's freaking awesome, especially when you can keep it moving and it's fast and dynamic and kinetic, and there's a lot of danger and also reward in it, and it can be really cool. Combat can also be kind of sloggy, and it can be overly dangerous. It can feel like the fundamental goals of the game are in danger. So we come from the combat heavy session 10 into approaching this huge tower for session 11. And remember one key detail, because it's going to be important to what happens here as I recap these events, which is Scarlett, which started as a guest player, kind of became almost a Black Widow-like character, a guest character, but also with sort of the hidden something, which we didn't know what it was, but there was some other layer to Scarlett, which was almost needed to explain her boldness, her assertiveness, her certainty. And that was never spoken. That was never written in any notes. That was never in a character backstory. That was never anywhere. It was just a feeling that you could feel at the table. It was a hunch that everyone felt. And so, of course, me as the game master, I harvest things like that. Those are the gems that I look for in the mine of role-playing, are things that the table is pretty sure are true. And I'll be right back. I got a dog emergency, so everybody hang on a sec. Hours upon hours each day to take care of doggy business, and this is when it must occur. Okay, so as I was saying, Chutney has needs too. You know, Chutney matters. He's a member of the family. He may only have one facial expression, but he's a member of the family. So something like an assumed hunch, or like a shared hunch, like something that the whole table feels, that's the gold I look for in the mine of D&D. So that is an important little detail to remember as we go in. The other funny thing is that I had a gaffe. I had a flub. I'm a total noob as a DM over here, and I had a flub in this session. So I'm excited to report my flub. So yes, exactly like Nicolas Cage. Exactly like that. Only without all the wealth and success and admiration of the universe and multiverse. So they're approaching Tower Jackport, the climax of this town in this haunted valley, in this land of the tusk and of werewolves and vampires and darkness. And they are now basically going to confront it. But remember, they are the Dirty Jobs crew. Their number one objective is not to save the world or to end the evil. They detected a massive treasure hoard in this tower, and that is their primary target. So naturally, you guys have probably seen my trap theory videos. That treasure hoard could just be damn good bait. Or it could be a tool of the enemy. Who knows? They're ready for anything at this point. They approach the door. They have a squad of Tusk guards coming through town to get them. We start the session by getting a timer. It's relatively short. The guards are going to be here quickly. They have a door to work on, a locked door with 2 guards on the other side. They negotiate this situation for a second. They come up with a distraction. Blue, hey, look, the wizard pulls his fur over his head and goes, I'm a bear and I'm in the town. But he doesn't say that, but he goes, rolls a crit on his charisma roll to make like these bear noises. And sure enough, one of the guards just looks through the little barred window. You know, there's a teeny weeny little window that guards can look through in medieval times just to see who's out there. And that's all it took. He just looks through. Aye, who goes there? And our elf is on the side, spins around to go sword into window, which was their plan. Sword goes in the window, crit. He gets a critical attack on this bad boy. Boom, skewers the guy through the eye socket. He falls back from the door. Our halfling decides to kick in the door, and guess what he rolls? Crit. Bang, smashes the door off of its hinges, and I'm like, slow the hell down. Now, luckily, their dice slowed, well, lucky for me, their dice slowed down a lot after this. Blows the door off its hinges. They go in. The other guard goes up some stairs to a barred door, which leads to the tower proper. They eliminate him. with a crossbow shot, I believe, and a little bit of, back and forth. And then they realize this door is damaged. It's not going to hold out the squad of guards that's coming across town. So they use, what do they use? Their awesome dwarven Modron, which has been doing all these little work tasks for them. They assigned this Modron to build a barricade out of this damaged door, to sort of put it back. It's kind of broken in half. Put it back in the doorway, and then use various metal pieces to form a barricade. It's not going to be done in time as we roll these timers. So our wizard and our elf both have to help in order to accelerate this timer to get this barricade built to hold the guards at bay for just a while. They turn, they have these stairs cleared now. There's some bodies to grab some cheap loot, just daggers and stuff, chainmail, throw it in the bag of holding. And they come to this big barred door. Before anybody can even really say anything, our halfling does a quick little listen. They're thinking about what they're going to do. And we come back around the table, and our halfling says, I'm going to pick this lock. Now, if you guys are familiar with old school essentials, when you do lock picking on a big door like this and you fail, it jams the locking mechanism. So if you fail this, you're going to have to break down this door, and you already have limited amount of time as these guards are coming in. So this is like an executive level decision for this halfling. Goes for it anyways, makes the roll, picks the lock, opens the door, and they have spiral stairs going up. They go through, lock it behind them. They've overcome the sort of opening encounter of this tower, which are the sort of foyer guards, right? They're the kind of the entryway guards. Now, here's where my flub occurred. Normally, my tower, in my map, in my notes, it was the entryway right here, then a mostly empty kind of like landing floor or entryway here, then the treasure hoard here, and then the roof. By the time we had finished all the opening stuff, as well as we had an almost 90 minutes of recap and thinking and options and negotiations before play even started. So at this point, we're probably 2.5 hours into play and having a great time. My brain, my lizard brain says, what is the use of that empty floor? Like, screw that floor. And I just omitted it. And so as they're going up these spiral stairs, they come into this room with a treasure hoard in it. And they're like, wait a minute, I thought there was another floor that we had seen from the courtyard, because there's like arrow slots in the sides of the tower that show where the floors are. And they're like, I thought, and you know what? Just had to be like, oh, oops. Well, that was mostly a landing floor to engage with guards, but I basically just cut it right out of our universe. Is everybody okay with that? It happens. I mean, the translation from my notes to the game table to the events of what transpire in a session are never going to be perfect, and they sure, well, I mean, they're never going to be accurate, and they sure as hell aren't going to be perfect. Now, I think there's a moment of learning right here that can happen, which is that the some people talk about the word verisimilitude, which is a really neat sounding word. There's an assumed accuracy or consistency between notes and maps that game masters have and what actually occurs at the table. And I would like to free everyone watching this channel from that particular assumption. It's nice if that can occur, but we are human beings, and like, to think that we're going to have these massively complicated dungeon maps and they're going to translate one-to-one into gameplay and stuff, honestly, it's silly. So don't be, anxious about it in the future, and also don't feel bad about it if it just happened and it's in the recent past. Just tell your players, like, wait a minute, on my map here, this room's supposed to be filled with water. Do you guys mind if I retcon this room and be like, hey, this room's filled with water? I would say just embrace it. Embrace your gaffes and your flubs and just go for it. It's all good. And yeah, we do look for secret floors and doors and rooms all the time, but I just let it go by and just, sorry guys, whoops. Anyways, it slightly accelerated the evening. It wound up, as you may guess, because of the way that me and my table function, not mattering at all, because there was so much more to do and to be excited about. So halfling first, and really our halfling, who wound up getting MVP for the session unanimously, but kind of was playing point the whole night. Not only point just being in front, but also being smart and tactical as a leader. not really telling people what to do, but through action and through almost like momentum, being a really great leader for the group. So we have our halfling going into this treasure room first. It's like, wow. And this is like 10,000 gold of treasure, swords, cups, crowns, all kinds of stuff in a big heap, just like we all imagine in the days of yore in Dungeons and Dragons, right? There's a big heap of frickin' treasure. Why not? But also, as they have confirmed before in the game, and now as they confirm in person, eye to eye, this room and its edges, as well as above it, are shrouded in an illusion. And this illusion obscures vision. So at first, the halfling's just like, something is in here. And he hears breathing. He hears, I smell you, Slim. This, whatever this thing is, can smell him and knows his name. There's a moment of terror. They're not sure what to do. The other two characters join. We have a ring of true sight in our group. The ring of true sight is used. It dispels this illusion, and there is a huge werewolf, not a low-ranking werewolf, but a next higher rank werewolf skulking in these illusory shadows, looking right at them. And they see a couple of leather belts left, because sometimes when a werewolf transforms, you know, they don't manage to get all their clothes off. Because remember, werewolves don't magically change all their clothes. They're more like Hulk, where they kind of like break out of their pants, right? And they see a couple of these belts on this huge werewolf, and they identify one of these little buckles. And it is none other than, you guys probably guess it because this is D&D, it is Scarlett. Scarlett, the character who joined them, who was so assertive about destroying the undead in this valley, about getting to this tower as fast as possible, and about releasing the prisoners who are being used as human sacrifices to fuel the magical fog, which is keeping anyone from escaping Jackport Valley. Oh my God. I've been waiting 3 months on this little bit of revelation. Scarlett is there skulking in the shadows, and she says, do not go any further. Do not interrupt. You've been useful to me so far. But now what does she say? My margin of success has become razor thin. So they're like, and it dawns on one of my players, this is his wife, by the way, who played Scarlett. He's like, there's no way you're going to force us to kill her character, are you? Like, the color is draining from his face. And so we had to take like a 20-minute breather as time froze in the game world to talk about, this is not an accidental level of dilemma, of nuance, of assumption, of secrets, of revelation. See as much as you can see into this moment, because it's there. So don't clumsily kill a player character. Don't look at me as if the dungeon master is about to force us to kill this. Make it into whatever you think it can be. If you just want this to be a kill, it can be a kill. If you want it to be a back away, it can be a back away. If you want to negotiate, if you want to join forces, if you want to be disappointed in her, angry at her, all of these things are on the table. So don't take such a potent dilemma as some kind of clumsy, you know, sort of rat trap that I've hidden in the basement that you had just stepped on. It's so much more than that. It's everything you're feeling right now. So let yourselves feel into that and see where it's going to go. And that's what we do. So after some conversation, it is revealed Scarlett has been hunting Admiral Akarov, this sleeping vampire, for a long time. We don't know why. She has decided that the best chance she has at striking at him, because she doesn't know where he is or like how to attack him in his incorporeal form, it's that two things needed to happen in the valley. One, he needed to begin to awaken. This was the action of my players. They began to awaken Akarov. He began to come back and regenerate. He was forming into a swarm of bats. But the other thing was to lure him out, to make him reveal himself. And that's what she was waiting for. And in dissipating this fog, which is Akarov's prison in this valley, the fog is going to open somewhere first. And this is right above the magical tower that forms the fog. There's going to be a tiny hole, which will be the first break in the fog in 150 years. And through that tiny hole, Akarov will undoubtedly try to escape. And that will be her chance. So as she said, my margin of success has become razor thin, and she implores my player characters not to interfere anymore, that no ill will was intended toward them. And then they're like, well, yeah, but I mean, we can't let him out, all this different stuff. And she basically starts convincing them, aren't werewolves really the good guys here? Aren't they the true children of the earth? And the vampires are the abominations? Aren't you on the side of nature? Aren't you on the side of the true world? And one of my characters has already been struggling with vampirism. Slim moves across this treasure hoard, tries to make a roll to resist looking at it and grabbing it, fails the roll, grabs a dagger, and is instantly cursed with lycanthropy. We roll a timer, and in one round, he will transform into a werewolf. My other character, Burr, the elf, has already been struggling with his werewolf past. He hates werewolves. They killed his people, the Skandahar, in Blackmore. He lives to hunt werewolves. And now he's confronted with werewolves being the only ally he has against this arch vampire. But is this vampire even his enemy? The answer is no. What is the resolution of such a situation? That's not my problem. I just let the world go where it feels like it should go. So they wind up not being willing to fight her. And they're just wanting to go up and release the fog and basically do what she can't have, which is the sort of interference. So she begins to come onto the attack. She has to get them out of the way. And by the way, the fog is running out of time. They don't even have to go do anything for it to finally begin to open, because they're out of human sacrifices, because they saved all the prisoners. This is a complex web, all coming down to a razor thin margin. They do not want to fight her, partially because they have no chance to survive fighting against her. Now, remember, in the previous session, they were fighting lower rank werewolves who could only be harmed by silver or magic. Only be harmed, not even bonus damage for those things. It's the only means of harm. And also those lower level werewolves had 2 actions, one of them with a save versus death on it. So if she's the next rank up, probably 3 actions. So what do? There's a Mexican standoff here, but with one person with a gun is about to fire, basically. They are in a real quandary. And then we hit that moment that so many sessions hit after a long arc. And Burr, our elf, who is tormented with this sort of werewolf curse, he goes to one of these arrow notches, which is not quite a window in the side of a tower used for archers, and he cries out across the land, "Castigir!" What? That's his action? Castigir is a humble ghost who's been transporting the dead to consecrate their bodies at the abbey. But Castigir has been noted as being sort of immortal and sort of made friends with this character Burr in a way. They kind of bonded. I tell my player, this is a long shot of long shots. So I'm going to cut 3 off your charisma, and I need you to make this roll. His charisma is 7. And he's got to roll under this. He's got to roll a 3 or less on a D20. You guys know exactly what's going to happen here. He freaking makes it. The wires come together. The sparks fly. This idea that a player has to call on a sort of immaterial immortal in a time of absolute need against all odds, and he makes it work. And so I just got to go with it because it's beautiful. It's a massive twist to this whole thing I never imagined. But I did know some secret facts about Castigir that I have not revealed yet, just because I live in little bullets in my notebook. Castigir's ghost, sure as hell, appears through the wall, and he sees Scarlett over there, and he's like, "You're up to this again. I told you revenge is never the path." And she says, "Get out of my way." And he's like, "I'm not in your way yet." And then Castigir musters all of his Patrick Swayze power, and he takes physical form. Now, he's a ghost, so he can only take physical form for D4 rounds. We roll it, and it's like a 2. It was not a 4. I remember that much. It's like, oh no. And when he takes physical form, his crown reappears, his leopard coat, his gold-hilted sword. At some point in the distant past, Castigir was king. But there's no time to think about that, because here comes the vampire, or the werewolf, versus Castigir. They're locked in this immortal combat as the players are saying, we got to get up there and ensure that the fog is cleared and scoop up as much of this treasure as possible. But wait, the treasure is cursed. If anybody touches it, you instantly get lycanthropy, like fast-acting lycanthropy. So we have a lot of different moving pieces going right now. But the biggest moving piece is that Castigir is the only thing occupying this basically unfightable force in Scarlett, the werewolf. So we get some struggle. Our wizard, who's been invisible for quite a while now, decides to use the bag of holding sort of like a bulldozer scoop, not touching the treasure, but scooping it up for later. So now they have this huge hoard of untouchable treasure, unspendable, until they find a way to cleanse it or dispel the curse on it. Meanwhile, our halfling has made his way to the roof to find 3 wizards at these 3 magical stones, trying to hold this vortex of mist intact. Oh, but they're out of human sacrifices. Their power source has been depleted. The fog is breaking apart. And then Slim, our halfling, he sees a couple of stray bats begin to fly around. Then more bats. And the bats begin to form a circle and a vortex. The wizards cannot hold the fog. And the bats now are beginning to form a column. And a tiny pinhole appears in the fog for the first time in 150 years. And there Slim, for the first time in months, sees a little glimmer of starlight. Meanwhile, 1 floor below, there has to be a solution. Our wizard is handling all kinds of wizardly things, staying invisible, which I gotta say is dope for a 3rd level wizard. It is absolutely impressive to see someone with the discipline to stay invisible and yet do all these utility jobs in the battle. So it's up to Burr, our elf, goes over once again, summoning these incredible dice rolls at the right moments, grabs Scarlett by the back leg, by the hawk joint, as we call it on wolves. On wolves? Fuck it, that's plural for wolf. Wolves. Grabs the hawk joint and wants to make a strength roll, a contested strength roll against Scarlett, who is a super strong werewolf, to swing her like a baseball bat through the wall of the tower and throw her out into the courtyard. Now, this will not injure her because she can only be harmed by silver and magic, but it will buy them a tiny amount of time. So we take a pause. We slowly have to calculate how to do this roll. Not only is this a super difficult action, so I take 3 off of his strength stat right there, but her strength stat is vastly higher than his. So we decided it's a make it by how much contest. And as you guys can probably imagine, because the way this session's going, I make my strength roll like by 6. He makes his like by 8. Sure enough, he swings her around through the bricks of the tower, throws a werewolf out of a 2nd-story smashed wall into the courtyard. She starts scratching her way back up the wall. We roll a timer for how long it's going to take her to get back up. It's like a 2 or a 3, I believe. It's close. They go back up without human sacrifices to power the magic. The 3 wizards are being torn apart. They're being sucked back into these magical stones. Their skin being ripped off their skeletons as their mortal frames are reabsorbed and the spell is being broken. Sure enough, a hell hole opens in the fog for the first time, and a half moon is visible, and the bats form into a giant needle, a column, and shoot up through this gap in the fog and disappear into the night, and Admiral Akarov has escaped. Castigir dissipates, his power spent. The guards are still occupied down there messing with this barricade, but probably terrified and fleeing as the fog is clearing. And my players have a moment. They see Scarlett down at the base of the tower as they look over the edge, as the stars are coming out, and they see the half moon. And all she does is give a mighty woo, and she runs off to be seen another day. One of the final things she said was like, finding her quarry will be 10-fold as difficult now. Because she had Akarov in a pinch there, but now Akarov is just out in the world and she's still going to keep hunting him. My players now have a huge hoard of treasure. They also manage one item, which on a great roll, pretty good roll, is a dragon slaying sword, which they use a cloak to wrap it up so they don't touch it. And they take that. We have some experience that's gained, and then we have a lot of discussion. Ahead of them, they have to the north, which was their original path, the frozen town of Mouse, which is xenophobic, filled with grumpy fishermen, the undead, half-frozen Vikings. That suddenly seems less appealing to them. Then they have to the direct west, the dark forests of the High Elves and Ringlow Hall, the capital of the High Elves in Blackmoor. And they have not decided what to do. As they reconnoiter, as they make their way back out to the hills, as they get out of this accursed town, as they look for their lost friends, sure to gather their group up again to make their way to continue on their journey after being stuck in this magical fog for all this time. They haven't decided where they go. And as they look up to navigate to check which way is north, they just see a huge bat shadow slide across the moon. And that is session 11. It was good. It was good. It was a very good session. It was a very good session. A session of legend. So what's crazy here, and what I wanted to talk about for the deep think. So I've been impugned by people in comments over the last few weeks that my deep think portion of my show is something I don't fully understand called virtue signaling. I don't know what that means, or that it's too esoteric, that I'm not talking about D&D. I don't know what the hell that is, but I kind of have a feeling of it. So for this time, the deep think I want to provide is a very difficult piece of advice for GMs to follow, which I am adapting to, which is to completely let go of what you perceive as some kind of boss encounter. This was set to be the biggest, most difficult combat encounter that we've faced yet, with these 3 wizards, with this arch werewolf, and potentially a bevy of ever approaching guards. In this entire session, my players suffered 0 damage. The only kills they got were the 2 guards in the lower part of the tower. It wasn't about that. And that's what, for Deep Think, I would like to invite everybody to think about, is set up your world as your world needs to be. Because you know that, especially when your world feels believable, it will begin to write itself, and that's okay. Let it write itself. But what you can't write is sort of, if it's a big fight, or come off feeling disappointed. Oh man, I was supposed to be hard for those guys. My players took no damage this entire session. Does that make it an easy session? I think not. I think that looking at difficulty and challenge in a game as strictly being related to hit point loss and bloodletting and spatters of guts is highly reductive of the amazingness of this hobby. None of the wonder of what happened in this last session could really be captured in my mind by a video game. This was human interaction and improvisation at its best. And this was a climax I've been sitting on for ages, that played out in a way that was wildly different from anything that I have visualized. But it was awesome. And it's easy for me now to be confident about what happened, because in retrospect, I know it was awesome. But I know that a lot of GMs out there In forward thinking, they worry about this. They worry if something's going to feel like a climax. They worry if it's going to sort of go the direction that they hope it goes, or that they think would be cool, or they worry that something's hard enough, or they worry that it has enough hit points, or they worry that it has fast enough attacks, or they worry that their dungeon is as big as everyone hopes it's going to be. I mean, you could map this tower in 90 seconds in your journal. That's how simple this was, but it made for a really fantastic night of gaming. But the tower itself was just based on sort of really simple medieval tower architecture, not even really fantasy, just basic stonemasonry. And I would like to invite everybody out there who's running games, especially weekly games where you really do get in a creative grind with it a little bit, that sometimes you do need to just let a world be believable, and the stuff that's going to happen is the stuff that's going to happen, and that is how it's going to play out. And when you let go like that, you'll not only find that you're just happier as a GM, but your players will sense it. They'll sense that you don't have some kind of going on, that you're discovering it and believing in it simultaneously with them. And that is magic shit. That is magical shit. And it's better than some well-balanced boss fight, which the reason I don't use air quotes, you guys, you know that I don't use this stupid gesture, but I'm using it right now because the concept of a well-balanced boss fight is complete bull. The world is the world. It's believable in its form. It's up to us as mortals and as adventurers and as people of courage who value each other's lives and who also have ambition to deal with whatever the world may be in a believable way. And feel free to make bosses. Feel free to make little mookie enemies that are easy to defeat. Feel free to make masterminded traps, all these sorts of things. But don't put a burden on yourself about what's going to happen. It'll make you anxious. It'll make you hesitant to play. It'll make you lock up a little bit during play. You won't feel as loose and as happy. And also, it'll just make your prep cycle less fun. And if you're doing a weekly game like I do, doing prep and preparing a game, that's like a thing you're doing throughout every week of your life. So you want to be happy. So I just want to, well, no, this is not difficult if you're beginning as a DM. I totally disagree with you, Monomakes. It is not difficult for beginning DMs. It is not difficult for a beginner DM. The beginner DM may be having trouble because of a million different factors, but it is a psychological behavior to have an expected outcome, not a DM skill. Being a beginner as a DM means a lot of things can feel a little bit overwhelming, but cut yourself a break, especially as a beginner, and let go of the outcomes. Your players have brains too, and you can trust those brains to create resolutions to simple situations, like a pit with 6 goblins in it. Is a pit with 6 goblins in it interesting? I don't know. My players will figure it out. All I know is these 6 goblins fell in this pit. That's all I know, and that's all I need to know. Let it happen. Have trouble as a beginner DM for other reasons. There's no arguing with you, Monomakes, that lots of experience DMing can help, especially with the nerves and with the relaxing into the sort of performance kind of part of it. You're absolutely right. But this particular aspect you can overcome right away as a DM on your first game. So yeah, there's this whole, it's covered up with sticks in the road. Some goblins had come walking by before my players came walking by, and they fell in there. And they're in there like trying to climb out, but they happen to be asleep right now because they're tired of climbing. And then my players walk around and they fall in. I don't know what else is going to happen. I'm done. I'm finished. Trust those players to add as much to the world as you add as the dungeon master. I never thought Castigear would be part of this. That's crazy talk. I never thought that they would just completely avoid fighting this werewolf. I knew that they would have qualms with it, but I thought that those qualms would come up maybe a little later, or that they would be forced into it, or who knows. I didn't know they were going to rescue almost all of the prisoners before even dealing with the tower. They took an entire session to defer any kind of attack to make sure that everyone was taken care of, using these Modron workers to build this tunnel system. Like, that's my deep think for this week. It's a direct GM tip. Let go of the resolution part. It's not your area. Completely let go of it. Just make your world consistent and believable within its own terms. And if you don't even have those answers sometimes because you're not thinking up all these crazy arcs and things, like I never thought that Scarlett knew who Castigear was. That never crossed my mind. I don't have some note somewhere with some big backstory to all this. But when Burr called Castigear across time and space almost to intervene, and then Castigear is revealed as a king, for some reason it felt very natural that he knew who Scarlett was. Scarlett, I've told you, revenge is never the path. So now I have to explain that in my notes. But I didn't know that going into that moment. Just like how players improvise who they are and what's happening, I can also react to what happens and see links I didn't see before. And that's fucking okay. That's not an accident. That's not just making stuff up. That's the fucking hobby. So let yourself enjoy those moments and write down a little bullet about it and come up with some crazy explanation later. And no, I don't call it West Marches because I see that as a boogeyman. West Marches, especially for a beginning DM, sounds so damn complex and so freaking overwrought, it's unapproachable. But just hearing something unexpected come up during play and going, oh yeah, and going with it and not covering it up like you think you need to act like you knew everything ahead of time, which is a total freaking destructive myth about game mastering. Now that's something I can get behind. As for West Marches, that is its own whole thing. And the fact that it even has a specific name, in my mind, makes it a bit of a boogeyman. Because these players are not deciding the adventures. We are not to that point. We live in a bit of a sandbox world, but we're not playing a sandbox. They're these damn quotes again. But they have a lot of agency in this world, but so do I. I'm really wary of these terms that have come up over the years, like West Marches and Sandbox and stuff, because they put completely unrealistic expectations on the game master. And I'm not into unrealistic expectations. And thank you. I'm killing this mustache game. That is deep thinking for tonight, as well as the session recap. Woo! That was hot. I got to tell you guys, too, it's so fun to lock down these session reports, because playing the sessions is exciting enough. But I got to say, when you recap a session, it checks your mental command of what happened. And as you guys know from my DM prep stream that I did, mental command, like working from memory, is where it's at. Notes are wonderful, but notes are a means to an end. They are not the end in themselves. You write notes so that you can work freely from your mind. You don't need to do this to be believed. Like, what's in this room? Nothing. That's not the point. The notes are a mnemonic device to remember things. And so recapping game sessions to you guys is a fantastic mnemonic exercise for me, because it cements the key events that make the session dramatic and helps me with my recap for Monday, helps us to come back into context to play another one of these 6-hour sessions, to bring my players all into emotional unity, to get that eye contact. And accurate and exciting recaps are a must. You want to talk about a difficult beginner DM skill? There's one, Mono. That's a tough one. Really exciting recaps are so potent for exciting sessions, and they are not easy to do. It's kind of like, you know, the odd talent that like stand-up comedians have, where they can remember all this material. It's a similar skill, and it is a buildable skill that can be developed by doing. So start doing. A great pneumatic exercise. That's some good stuff. You had a GM prep video, Hunter says? Yeah, only about 450 of them. Okay, guys, that is it. If you'll check out a quick groove from the legendary Roots crew, we're going to move on to the Q&A section of the show. Hey, 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 do, hey, hey, hey. All right, and we're back after a word from our sponsor, which is The Darkness. RuneHammer is brought to you by The Darkness. Thanks to The Darkness, you can find the terror of the abyss in the eye of a dead beholder. And now back to our show. All right, so if you want to ask me a question, especially ones that pertain to this evening's content or game stuff that you might be running in the near future, hit me. Put an all caps question in front of your comment to make sure I notice it and all the crazy, because y'all be blowing up these comments lately. And we'll start to hit them. We do this for about a half hour each week. Sometimes we do it for longer. Sometimes we don't. Depends on the caffeine. Really depends on the high life. Oh, and then I got a big nasty plug, a shameless plug for the end of the show. Ian Boyd, OSC for the first time. Any nuggets of advice? Yeah, if you're a patron, hop over and grab my hack doc. And that's what I'm going to be talking about at the end of the stream tonight. Otherwise, keep it simple, baby. Ignore all the rules that don't seem obvious right at the beginning. Just keep it simple and work your way into other rules. But let that first session just be like roll under attributes and over saves and like throw some skeletons in there and you're on your path. Don't make it crazy. That's cool, Buzz. Have a good time, man. Okay, SK, I'm working on a red dragon lair. Woo-wee! Epic elements. Well, if you got a red dragon lair, you got to have like dynamic magma. You got to. Red dragons, in my mind, like soak their limbs, or even like, magma is like hand lotion for these buggers. So they dwell in a place where there's going to be magma that rises and falls almost like with their anger. So I would have magma be a major factor of a red dragon lair. I would also think about how the dwarves had either contained or failed to contain the red dragon. So there's going to be dwarven reinforcements or even heat vents or even like adamantium sort of a containment system of some kind that is either intact or broken. And also there's always got to be a holdout. One thing with dwarves and red dragons, there's a holdout. There's an old dwarf who's been working on this, who's been manning the fires for centuries. And that guy's cool. And he's played by Willem Dafoe. And it's going to be awesome. What are benefits playing on a map versus theater of mind? I am over time seeing almost no benefits to playing on a map. I'm seeing index card theater of the mind as so go-to and so good because you got to have something to look at. That's my campfire effect that I always talk about. You got to have something visual. So like miniatures and index cards. And if you guys look on my Instagram, there's a fun post from a couple days ago, which is when they're moving through the cursed treasure hoard. And that's a look at my terrain these days. Like there's a little door drawn on an index card and I throw it down, but it's far from a map. It leaves a lot of space for players to ask questions and for us to use dice to answer those questions. Help you let go of ego. Oh my God. That is a deep one, Michael. Allow your mind not to try to pull the players. Yeah, I mean, I guess the short answer would be like what Mono Megs mentioned, which is like years and years of play. But no, I don't have an exercise for that. I always would like it to see it go somewhere, but I think it's a big part of it is the dynamic of your friendship with your players. If that friendship is really tight, you trust them to take it somewhere cool. I have no experience with Morkborg, no. How did you prep background? I just read all the Blackmore materials and then just waited like 24 hours and then wrote some bullets on what I remembered, and that became our Blackmore world. Jonathan, what's up, man? How did you allocate experience? I go on monster value. I use the CR monster experience value system from 5e hardcore mode. Loot equals experience. Yeah, so it was a great take for them this session. Yeah, that's a great one, Thorfnir. Love it. 666, the number of the beast. Thank you, Azimuth. Appreciate that. Cool username. Think Deck is great. Hey, right on. I really like it. It's underappreciated in my mind. I think it's really one of the best things. I love it, and I use it every other week or so when I'm getting a little stumped. Nicolas Montalpa, replace the card game. Yeah, with actual blackjack. Yeah, do it. Absolutely do it. Genius. Sell, what's up? You appreciate Return to the Roots. Yeah. What do you see in it for someone without any sort of personal D&D? D&D history has nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it at all. It has nothing to do with the past, honestly. Even the term old school, as I've said many times before, is a complete misleading term. It's just a way of playing that happens to be one of the ways that was played way back when. But we owe the past. We don't owe them our fun. We don't have to think the past is the magic that we have inherited. This is just a way to play D&D in the present. It's not all that different from a lot of things. It's just, I think Old School Essentials as a book, as a specific artifact, is very good at recounting that style of play, and that's why we've adopted it. But we weren't playing something drastically different from that before. Nestor, what's up? What D&D item would you want in real life? Oh man, I don't know. Like I would like a dwarven mechanical leg. Is that a thing? Mabel, thank you. You got to quit throwing dollars at me, Mabel. You're ridiculous. Thank you so much. Here's to you. Opinions on non-leveling systems. They're cool. Milestone rewards are what I'm all about in index card RPG. But I do find that players have a little bit easier time of understanding XP. They love XP. They love getting XP. They love counting it. They love adding it up. They love thinking how far they have to go. It's just fucking fun for them. So why take away that fun? Enjoy the XP thing. Players have fun with it. Don't overthink it. Just go with it. Yeah, what's up, Jake? Good to see you, man. Thanks for stopping by. Vincent. Get rid of plurals. Oh, wow, yeah. Thanks. How do you know it's time to call for initiative versus loose attacks? We only do initiative if both sides are absolutely flat-footed and even at the beginning of an engagement. So if neither side has any advantage, then we roll initiative. Otherwise, the narrative describes who's going to kick off the battle. So we don't roll initiative all that often. How do you think D6 encounter table? I don't use tables really at all. I love using them in the week before I play, but at the table, I don't roll for things like that. I use a dice as a question answering tool, but I don't use tables. And again, we're going to talk about at the end of the show tonight where you can go get the exact thinking on how I do that. And it's free. Oh, sorry, I missed any chance of a tarot deck. No. I leave it to others to do tarot. I don't use tarot in my RPG. That's just not my area of specialization. I can see how it could be really cool. Any updates on Pachinko? No, Pachinko was just a way of thinking. There's no update there. That's just a sort of a metaphor for play. Drop the balls, baby. Drop the balls. Yeah, don't worry about the leg of Vecna. It's just, sometimes this damn thing does get me down a little bit. I got to say, sometimes there's some things I can't do and they make me mad. Like I want to slam dunk a basketball and I can't really jump like that. I don't like that. You make encounters anymore, or you just keep monster stats in your head? Oh no, I absolutely put them in blocks on my journal. Do I make encounters? I'm not sure what that means. I definitely have moments planned out in my journal. I mean, I don't do all this for nothing. Like where's a think sheet? Yeah, like here's sort of a think sheet. Is everything on I try not to reveal anyone's phone number or anything and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, like this is a question and answer kind of system that I was coming up with. Here's a lot thinking about a session summary and a little bit of a layout. I don't do this stuff for nothing. I think in maps quite a bit, and I think in little bullet points of what might be where and how the context of the situations fit together and how the stats work. So yeah, but they're also in my head a little bit because I use the CR system, which has proven to be, I'm living and dying by that system. Yo, Barbard, my man Damien, now that you're gaming back in person. Music, absolutely. I've been using all my Spotify playlists, and they have all those bizarre synchronicity moments. Very proud of all those playlists. They really came together good. And the Dungeon DJ mixes, are also kind of good compressed versions of those that I'm really proud of. Quarantine was great for making all that material. Hey, Jake. Yeah, man, no worries. Yeah, if you just follow me on Instagram, I know that sounds cheesy and a lot of people say that nowadays, but I really do post Instagram photos of how I do our table, like of our table in play. So I don't really have to explain how it's done because it's just right there. Got a table of all new players. Oh my gosh, Manuel, you're going to have a great time. What rules? Yeah, just do, roll under attributes. Well, if you're playing OSE, but yeah, just stats and how the D20 works and just throw a goblin in there. Magic sword every damn time. Poleaxe is a weird word. Hobbit. Playing one shots with players. Hate pre-generated character. Yeah. If you want to play one shots and you don't like pre-generated characters, I don't know what to tell you. Just make characters faster. Like, don't do the whole 5e Pathfinder thing. Pick a simpler system for playing one shots. No, ride bikes I can do. Shoot three-pointers I can do. Oh, wait, that's your advice. Actually, I just converted my bike to a fixie, so I'm going to go ride that tonight and see if I die. Cell 32005. Just to confirm, you recommend OSE to beginners? Oh, absolutely. I mean, talk about beginner friendly. Especially the way that the OSE book is formatted. It's so easy and clear to use. Like, kill it. Hobbit, my Instagram is hankerin.furnail. So catch up with me on Instagram. That's really where you're going to see my sort of weekly life. I don't really use the other social media outlets anymore. Instagram is the only one I really use. Frey. What a lovely name. Are you going to include player fortress stuff in your campaign? I don't know if they want one. They're called the Dirty Jobs crew, so I seriously don't think that their ambition is to have a castle. I think it's more like to start a rock band. I mean, but if they want to do that, sure. And I've definitely have had fortresses and castles in campaigns before. And like second edition had some really fun rules to do some of that stuff, but even those we bent and invented as we go. Orcus versus Sathaga. Stuff out the door, recreating in-room treats. Well, Rapanathuk is jam-packed with stuff. I mean, depending on where you are, the little usable bits for players are going to widely vary. I would constantly reinforce that someone had come through there before to kill Orcus and maybe left some little treats behind, almost like Hunger Games style. You know, it's like there's a little note that says, for those about to rock, we salute you, kind of a thing. And yes, always do a session 0. Session 0 is another boogeyman term, like it's supposed to be some kind of certain kind of thing. No, session 0 is when you get together with the friends in question and have a beer and have some tacos and talk about what D&D is all about and what people think might be cool about it. That's it. That's it. It is not such a freaking thing. Hey, Kalispera. You watch my that's awesome. Cool, man. Can't wait to get back to Greece. What do you think about hirelings? We have 4 in our group right now. They're great. I just try to keep them narratively minimal so that they don't become a nuisance. But yeah, they're awesome. And if you ask someone like Kelsey or my man Blue Arrow, you know, they're all about populating the game with handy dandy little NPCs, and it works great. It's really fun. It's just a style. I'd rather have a high life than the worst mead ever. Bad mead can take it really, can be undrinkable. Later, Nestor. Keep it real, man. Once you get ideas from players on what's cool, do you then build out a world, even if it's just a small area? A little bit. I wouldn't call it a world. I would just call it some ideas. And then, yeah, like what's the opening moment? It's just like Taika Waititi says. He'll kind of write down what the opening could be. He'll write down what the ending can be. And then he'll call smarter friends to help him fill in the middle, you know? Yeah, I kind of agree with you there, Michael. When you kind of name a thing and you put it out there, especially in the RPG hobby, you know, there are these sort of highfalutin names on things that are really just natural human behaviors, and just let them be natural. They don't have to sound like you know, like merit badges you're going to earn when you've been in the hobby long enough. Like, fuck that. It's just hanging out with your homies being like, you guys think skeletons are cool, or is that kind of lame? There, we're doing session 0. How are you liking the new Hex notebook? You know, Von Raider, I do like it. The hexes kind of kick me in the head a little bit. Like, they're kind of fun to play with. But I got to say the quality of this, the quality of this notebook is not as good as a paper age notebook. So I'm still going to blast through the whole thing. I really like the cloth cover, and this sword it's dumb, but this makes me excited to have this journal. That may sound silly, but it feels good in my hand, and so I'll put up with the lack of opacity in the paper. Any tips on trying to get inspiration for writing a world building? No, don't. If it doesn't feel natural and just flow, because remember, this is supposed to be fun, not a job, then just meet up with your players and start asking each other questions and devise the world. Just devise it. A little bit of it, even if you just only see one scene. I wrote a trilogy of fantasy novels, and I had no idea what they were going to be. I just wrote the opening scene with Vald, and that's how it all began. Is the NPC hireling a red shirt or a 40? I'm not sure what that means. I know what a red shirt is, but I don't know. There's nothing wrong with 40-year-olds living in basements, isn't there? Hey, Matthew, what's up? Hey, Jason, thanks a lot for the $5, man. Appreciate it. Why do you think people get so possessive of official lore in D&D? I don't know, because that's fun for them. Rock on. Have a good time with that. Remember, I never propose to give supreme answers or things like that on this channel. This is just a report of how I do stuff. So people who know official lore, I mean, check out Wargaming. It's quite crazy how people get into that stuff. But that's fun for them. So rock on, man. Have a good time. Just don't be a dick to me about it. And I won't be a dick to you about it. There we go. I do handmade bookbinding. Would you like a book on the house? I would absolutely love one, as long as there's lined paper or dotted paper, and it has really high quality opaque paper, and it has to be pocket size, digest size, and it can't be so many pages that I get scared and I don't want to fill it. Otherwise, yes, email me. Hey, there's that gold star. Thanks, Damien. Appreciate it, man. Hey, and I'm clear. I've caught up. I'll tell you, this stuff, it's really gassy. There's a lot of bubbles in this stuff. It's like drinking, I don't know, it's like Dr. Pepper mixed with Sprite. That's how many bubbles we're talking about. We do spells right out of the book. We don't really fuck with that much. You use hexes in that notebook? Nope. I just use hexes as kind of a funny geometric way of thinking. I don't use hexes in any game mechanical way. None of that's my stuff. But it's a fun looking line to sort of trace with your pen while you're thinking about the forest. Got to break the CO2 out in a glass. I don't know what that means. That's not worth it with beer this bad. Yeah, those people, I don't hang out with those people, Daniel. So anyways, ow, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Well, that was a nice, quick little hour that we just broke off there. No, the old armor system is gone, but it's the difference between the old armor system and the defense system is nothing. There is no difference. So, question: what does a battle in the Fey Wild look like to you? I don't know. I don't know anything about the Fey Wild. I've heard about that. I think it's like where Hellboy creatures are or something. That's not really my thing. Question: what's your big non-TTRPG inspiration this week? Well, having a good time with Loki. Loki was really great. I loved that new Pixar film, Luca. Thought that was absolutely spectacular film. Yeah, I don't know. That's enough. I've been watching the old Gundam films. And by watching, I mean having them on by doing something else because they're really outdated. But they popped up on Netflix, and I loved them as a kid. Yeah, Hunter, later, man. And yeah, I think I'm going to float out of here. I got some bike riding to do. I want to get outside. I'm really cramming to get Viking Death Squad done. And yo, it's time for the shameless plug. So all of you who are getting interested in old school essentials, first of all, I want to say, be interested in it. Old school essentials is fucking awesome. But like all things, I like to change it, and my players like to change it as we play. So now that we've been going for almost 4 months, just over 4 months. Wow, yeah, it's going to be 5 months here pretty soon. That's crazy. We have put all of our modifications to old school essentials that we use at my table into a 14-page PDF called OSE Hacked. And that PDF is available free on my Patreon at the minimum level, which is $1 a month. But it's also a shareable Dropbox link that is not secured to my patrons. So if any of you know any of my patrons, you can indirectly just get it free. And I've also got another upcoming release that's going to be using OSE Hacked as its rule set. So if you're interested in hacking old school essentials the way that I've been hacking it, get your hands on this PDF somehow. As long as my patrons say it's okay, I'll make that link available on my Instagram here in coming weeks, because I wanted to make sure they got it first, because they paid for it. They pay for my rent. And yeah, I think OSE Hacked has the direct changes that we made as we played that we are using right now. So if that's interesting to you, you can also just email me and I'll send you the Dropbox link. Hit me up. So hi, everybody. And maybe in time, I'll throw that Dropbox link like right here in this video description, but not quite yet, because I want to make sure all my patrons have a copy of it first and everybody gives me the thumbs up. Hell yeah. And then we'll keep on going. Okay. You guys, it's been great hanging out on Friday. This is cool, man. This is groovy. I'm going to go ride my bike. Y'all have a great weekend. Keep it real and do not steal. You're always going to get a good deal. Make this world just a tiny bit better than it was last week. You know, just some little thing here or there. Just do the dishes, make your bed, you know, whatever. Tell somebody, hey, you're cool. You know, tell somebody, I like your haircut. You know, that's something. And that's how we're going to make this world a better place. Okay, you guys, thanks for tuning in. My name's Hankering Fernell. Hit me up on that old Instagram or just email me directly, whatever you got to do. I look forward to meeting all you guys. Have a great weekend. I'm out of here. Peace to the mothership. Yow.